Welcome to another Panthers Pretend Draft. I'm your host, Demetri Ravanos. This is part of the This Team is Killing Us podcast. If you've been listening to us for a while, you know we did things a little bit differently last year. I gave you a mock draft leading up to the draft every single day for 2 weeks. Now, last year was a little bit of an odd situation. There was a lot to look at considering the Panthers did not have a first-round pick, and we're going to be picking very early in round 2. There was a lot to play out. This year, we're doing something a little bit different. We are just giving you 2 mock drafts here in one video. One draft assumes the Panthers are sticking at number 8. And you see, I have my hierarchy of draft needs. Number 1, Jalen Walker. Number 2, add to the secondary. 3, a pass catcher. Looks like I kind of got a little eraser happy here. Number 4, developmental offensive line pieces. And number 5, a second pass rusher. That is the hierarchy, assuming they are sticking at number 8. So let's dive into today's mock drafts. We'll start with the one that assumes the Panthers are going to be picking at number 8 in this draft. Again, no matter what the trade offers are, we are sticking at number 8. Although I did like that offer of number 11 from San Francisco. All right, sitting at number 8, I am not looking at value here. I'm doing what it is I think the Panthers are going to do, and I think all of the writing is on the wall. If the Panthers stay at number 8, or if they move and he is available, Jalen Walker from Georgia is your pick there. And it does something really important. Not only does it fill your need of an edge rusher, but it gives you a dude you can move around the formation so that he can do the most damage possible regardless of what play it is the offense has called. So now at 57, we have a trade offer from Philadelphia, which I don't love. Don't love the one from Kansas City either. We are going to make this pick here. A couple of interesting options on the board. I would love to go get a corner, but given that the best corner available is Darian Porter out of Iowa State, who I don't dislike, I really like Jaden Higgins as a wide receiver prospect out of Iowa State. Big, really big. I believe like 6'4". He has some speed to him. I think he offers the Panthers something they don't already have in the receiving core, so I could see him slotting in really well alongside XL, Coker, and at least for one more year, Adam Thielen. So Jaden Higgins is going to be my pick here. And now we have a short wait to get to number 74. First of all, let's take a look at what is available. I am a little bit surprised that we don't have Kevin Winston Jr., the safety out of Penn State, still on the board. That was kind of what I was banking on. So I am open to trading back here, although Jordan Birch out of Oregon is a very good pass rusher. You know what? I'll move back a pick and take a late round pick. I think that might even be Mr. Irrelevant from San Francisco. So we slide back, from 74 to 75, not double trading down. And I am going to take Jordan Birch here. Now, we are going to have to get very serious about finding our safety in a corner with these back-to-back or nearly back-to-back picks in round number 4. But I like Jordan Birch a lot. I think that's a very valuable addition to a team that really has to improve. The single worst part of the side of the ball, it played worse than anyone else in NFL history last year. So as I look at who is available here, the risk I do not want to run is losing out on a starting caliber safety. I think Jalen Reed may be the last one. Certainly as an Alabama fan, I'm very familiar with Malachi Moore and think he can do some really good things in the NFL, but I don't think Moore is equipped to be a starter on day one. Reed might be the last guy that fits that mold, so he's going to be our pick at 111. And then at 114, now that I have that second, 7th round pick, I am okay with trading back here and double dipping in multiple rounds. So I'm going to trade back from 114 to 126 with Jacksonville. And that is going to put me in a position here to probably take best player available. And that is not Corey Black, the best corner on the board. So 3 guys I like here. Sam Mondin Jr. out of Georgia is probably not going to be a day one starter in the NFL. He could take the Trevin Wallace route very easily, though, and create depth at that middle linebacker spot. That gives you the ability to be a little bit more flexible with Jalen Walker, playing him on the edge more often than not. That would be one guy I'm looking at. The other guy I'm looking at, actually, I'll group the other two together. Logan Brown, the offensive tackle out of Kansas, and Anthony Belton, the offensive tackle out of NC State. The Panthers do not need starting tackles right now. What they do need are guys that can develop quickly in the event they lose Moton or Icky in this upcoming offseason. I think Brown has the highest upside. I think he can get to his ceiling a little bit quicker than Belton can. It just comes down to, do I want Belton or do I want Mondin? And, the guy, if we were not going to land Mondin, the guy that I would want would be Danny Stutzman, who seems to already be off the board. So let's do Mondin, Smail Mondin Jr., out of, or is that pronounced Samuel? I never know how to pronounce these names. From Georgia, he is going to be our pick at 126. And at 140 now, unfortunately, it looks like we lost both of those potential developmental tackles. Let's see, we've got 140, 142, and 146 to work with here. As we scroll through, Tommy Hill out of Nebraska, he's going to be a depth piece, but we need a corner. Excuse me, he played, he developed nicely throughout the season, I guess is probably the best way to say it. So we will take Hill so we do not fall any further down the corner hierarchy. I'm done trading for the most part in this draft. So Tommy Hill goes. Jalen Travis out of Iowa State is the best tackle left on the board. I do feel like Iowa State's offensive line has, what's the right way to say this? In years past, I thought Iowa State's offensive line never got the credit that they deserved for being the kind of unit that they are. I think in the last 2 or 3 seasons, they have started to get the level of credit for playing like they do, if that makes sense. I think the level of prospects coming out of there are not as strong as they used to be. But Travis is the best tackle left on the board, so let's go ahead and add him. Remember, he's a developmental piece. We're not asking for very much from him this season. Seth McLaughlin could fill our need at center. Here's my problem with McLaughlin. He won the Remington Award for best center in the country this year for his year at Ohio State. My 2 problems are, number one, he transferred to Ohio State from Alabama. So, of course, I'm very intimately familiar with his game, and his game was not good until this past year. In fact, you could argue that Michigan won the national championship in part because McLaughlin did not know how to snap the ball out of a shotgun formation. That's 1. 2, he's coming off a pretty severe injury. And if I don't have to fill the center position right now, because I think that the what's the word I'm looking for? I guess battery of guards that have been kicked inside to center. We've found a workable rotation there. I'm not going to take McLaughlin. Instead, I'm going to go to the center of the defensive line. And certainly we don't need a defensive tackle. But when there is a just delightfully fun piece on the board, I think it is worth going to get him. So we are going to draft J.J. Pegues out of Ole Miss. Pegues started his career as a tight end, then moved to the defensive interior, still gets lined up on the goal line as one of those big bruiser decoy targets. Sometimes they will even out of the backfield run him. I don't see why that couldn't translate at the next level, particularly with a team that is not interested in their quarterback doing, forget the tush push, doing sneaks at all. So I'm going to take Pegues at 146. At 163 now. No, I'm not going to make a trade here. At 163, I do have a little bit of interest in Riley Leonard. It is not a ton. It is just a matter of, at this point in the draft, could you take a guy that you look at as a potential Panthers answer to Taysom Hill? We talked about this, Lauren and I did, on an earlier show, and it was suggested that Jalen Milroe be that guy. I think Leonard would be more apt to play that role, but instead I'm going to go down here and I'm going to get Jonah Mannheim, the center out of USC. Again, we're not asking much from him this year. He's a nice developmental piece to have. And let's be honest, the center position right now is held down by a bunch of guys on 1 and 2 year deals. So you never know what's going to happen next season. Our last pick of the draft, or at least for us, down all the way at 252. You know what? This was buzzed about a little bit. I think the tight end room is already full of a lot of guys that are not going to make the roster. So I'm not going to take Jackson Hawes here. Fuck it. We're going to take Riley Leonard. Like, it's pick 252 in a pretend draft. Who cares, right? So there is our Panthers draft. Jalen Walker at number 8, Jaden Higgins at number 57, Jordan Birch. We trade down one pick and land him at 75, 111, Jalen Reed, 126, Mondin Jr. Again, I'm not going to pretend to know how to pronounce that name. 140, Tommy Hill, 142, Jalen Travis, 146, JJ Pegues, 163, Jonah Mannheim, and 252, Riley Leonard. I do think you have 4 guys. Your first 4 picks are going to be guys in this class that would be counted on to be able to be day one contributors. Whether or not that means starter, I don't know. Mondin might be as well. After that, it's a largely developmental class. I don't love that for the Panthers, but also I think that's the reality of what this draft is. So with that in mind, let's jump in to what happens if the Panthers trade down. And what I have here is the realistic targets in round 1 if the Panthers trade back from number 8. Michael Williams, if they trade down far enough, to me is the no-brainer. True pass rusher, played in that same defense as Jalen Walker. I think he is a really talented dude, and I think if Walker is not going to be your edge rusher, this is the best guy available after Abdul Carter and Jalen Walker. Number 2, top safety. I personally like Malachi Starks, another Walker teammate at Georgia. Nicky Manwari of South Carolina is a guy you can't dismiss because of Dave Tepper's boner for former Gamecocks. Also, I do see a lot of talent evaluators that I trust that say it's not just combine performance. Manwari really has sort of vaulted himself over Starks as the best safety in their eyes. Number 3 is Jalen Walker, and here's why. I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility that the Panthers trade down in a way that still keeps them in the top 15. And if that's the case, I'm not confident Walker is off the board. I'm not confident he's there, but I think it's totally possible that he could still be. So he would be on my board here. Number 4, Walter Nolan. This is a guy I don't understand what it is I'm not seeing that talent evaluators are. I think after Mason Graham, this is clearly the best defensive tackle on the board. And as much as I know defensive tackle is not a first-round need for this team, I'm telling you, if you watch as much SEC football as I do, you will see what it is that makes this guy so damn special. And then down at number 5, Jahade Barron, the cornerback out of Texas. Look, I know they need bodies in the secondary. They need guys that can play right away. I think Barron is that. I just think Barron's ceiling is a little bit low. So with that being said, let's dive into our second of our 2 mock drafts. Remember this one, the Panthers are trading down. All right, so here are the offers. This is the one I expected to get right away, and it is the one I'm leaning towards. 2 1s and a 2 for our number 1 to move up to number 8 for the Steelers, and 114, which is a 4th-round pick. And then we could take just a nice package of picks, a 1, a 2, and a 3 from the Seattle Seahawks. That is our other option. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start by countering the Steelers' offer. And rather than 114, would they take 146? I really don't want to give up another pick, but the haul is pretty nice. So let's see what it is they will do here. All right, done deal. All right, so now we move down to 21, and we're in position to get 4 of the guys that I said I wanted to be in position to get. I feel pretty good. There is going to be no second trade down here. All right, now this comes down very simply to Malachi Starks or Michael Williams. It is a no-brainer to me. Like, goodbye, Walter Nolan. Goodbye, Nick Emanwari. We are not talking about you at this point if all four of those guys are available. And what this comes down to is I think I can get a great safety in round 3, in round 2. I don't think I can land a edge rusher as good as Michael Williams past this pick. So Williams is going to be our pick at number 21. This is a Georgia Bulldogs positive draft, I suppose. All right, at 57, we could drop down one pick and pick up a late round pick just as a thank you. Let's do it. And they take Eric Ayamanor out of Stanford, who was somebody I had considered for the Panthers, but not going to do that. And we are not going to trade down again. So at 57, I tell you what, in the interest of not doing the same thing in this draft that we did in the last one, I am going to take Darian Porter out of Iowa State here. I think this is a good corner, not the level I wanted. I was hoping that either Maxwell Hairston or Trey Amos would be on the board here. They are not. So Porter is going to be our dude there at 67. And at 74, I see a couple of names I like, or I see a name. Actually, I see two names I like. What do we do here now? Do we do Kevin Winston Jr., who fills the need of a dude that's going to start right away? Or do we do Jaden Higgins, who, knowing this team needs another pass catcher? That, I think, is the best we can do. This is a tough one. I like Winston not just from the standpoint of his physical ability. I thought he was the tone setter for that Penn State defense this year, even above Abdul Carter. I thought emotionally he was the core of that defense. I think the Panthers have a lot of dudes that see themselves that way. I'm not sure if they have that dude yet, though. I think Higgins could have a really great career, but I think given what the needs are right now, Winston may be the dude. Let's just scroll down and see what the other pass catching options could be later on. Don't see anyone I'm in love with, though. That is kind of what this decision comes down to. But rather than overthink this, like, this is pretty simple. You need a safety. You need a safety badly. I think Winston could make an impact in the NFL very quickly. That is going to be my pick at number 74. Now, I am going to pause the draft here for a second. Can we get up 20 picks to take Jalen Royals or Tez Johnson? Both of whom are very good. Johnson especially is a speedster that I think would complement XL and Coker nicely as they all continue to grow. I'm not going to jump up 20 picks for either of these guys. I am going to keep an eye, and we will check back here in 5 more picks to see where we are. Royals is gone. Tez Johnson remains. Torrey Horton is not a guy I would trade up for, but he is a guy I like. 15 picks. Let's see what the Eagles would take. Where are the Eagles? There they are. All right, so we have 111. We want to get to 96. Would they do a sort of flip-flop kind of thing? Would they do 111 and 140? Would that get me 96 and take the very bottom, 168? No, it will not. All right. You know what? I'm not even going to try again. We're going to keep the draft going here. We'll check back in 5 picks. Horton is gone, but Johnson remains. Let's try this one more time. Let's see what we can do here. 111 for 101. And would they flip-flop 140 for 157? No. All right. We are not going to make that move then. Hate to let Tez get away, but so be it. All right. I like Bashal Tootin as a weapon out of the backfield. I don't think that is a necessity necessarily right now. You got Rico Dowdell. This year, you should, by all accounts, have Jonathan Brooks coming back the following year. So I don't know that I want to do that. At the same time, though, where is the better option? Savion Williams is a guy. Oh, I did not mean to do that, but I did. What are you going to do? I did not mean to take Savion Williams. I guess I will learn about him and pretend that I know everything there is. We have our wide receiver at 111. All right, going down to 114. This was the other guy I was really going to talk about. That is Jordan Hancock. He is definitely going to start his career as depth. He may always be depth in his career in the NFL, but I do think he has NFL caliber talent in the secondary. So we are going to take him at 114. And now we wait until 140 to make our next pick. Real quick, let's just review what we have here so you can kind of see the position breakdown. We've got our edge, we've got two corners, we've got a safety, we've got a wide receiver. We did not get we did get Logan Brown. No, we got Sam Mondon last time. Let's go take Logan Brown this time around for pick number 140. I think that's a nice find. Remember, Brown started out his career as a 5-star prospect, ends up transferring after some disappointment. I still think that talent is in there. I just don't think it's been realized yet. I don't think he's ever going to be a starter necessarily in the NFL, certainly not on the left side. But I think there is upside there to be mined. So that is what we are going to take with pick number 140. Remember, 146 was part of that big trade down with the Steelers. At 163, I'm just looking to see what is on the board. You know what? I'm going to do that deal. Going down from 163, we will get 179 and 200. And that keeps us from reaching for something we really don't need. We're going to go with Jake Majors out of Texas here, the center. Talked about this earlier in the video. I don't think center is as much of an area of need as some of these sites seem to say. But I don't think it hurts to add another one to the roster. Sometimes you just have a guy pop up that you really, really like. And if you've watched this whole video, you could probably tell watching SEC football this year, I was pretty enamored with defensive tackle. So Cam Jackson out of Florida is the top guy on the board. That's not who I'm looking at. I'm looking at Tonka Hemingway out of South Carolina. I liked Kyle Kennard and Dylan Stewart on the edges a lot this year. I thought TJ Sanders and Tonka Hemingway in the middle, though, did a lot of the heavy lifting for the Gamecocks defense so that those guys could get to the quarterback, get to running backs in the backfield, and create as much havoc as they did. So we at pick number 200 are going to add Tonka Hemingway out of South Carolina. All right, now at 230, I'm going to do something that's going to make some of you guys crazy. We are going to draft a kicker, and we are specifically going to draft. Where did he go? There we are. We are going to draft Caden Davis out of Ole Miss, who I think is really good, has a very long history of being very accurate. Panthers need a new kicker. I don't think the guy that they signed to replace Eddie Pinheiro is really the plan, really like the firm answer. There is no conversation to be had. 241, the Panthers' own personal Mr. Irrelevant. Let's add another safety just because it is such an area of need in terms of bodies. Don't know anything about Dante Trader Jr. out of Maryland, but that is our guy. So as the draft wraps up here, here is the way this shook out with the trades. We traded down. Look at that. The Steelers traded up, and it was not even to get Shadur Sanders. They got Ashton Jeanty, and later on they picked Danny Stutzman. And as a result, we have their number 1 and number 2 next season, and still got a very good pass rusher in Michael Williams. Darian Porter we get by just trading one pick down, and also that allows us to pick up Dante Trader at the very end of the draft. And then there was that move with pick number 163. We traded back, and that got us at 179, Jake Majors, and 200, Tonka Hemingway. I told you we needed to come back to Savion Williams. All right, a big dude. That's great. Says he functioned at times as a wide receiver, running back hybrid. That's interesting. That is kind of what I liked about Bashal Tutin at Virginia Tech. And Kyle, I always mispronounce this guy's name. I think it is Monangai out of Rutgers. I liked both of them being used in that very same way. So that's great. Very good speed, it says here. I like that because I do think that is something that is missing in the Panthers receiving room right now. But here is what bothers me. Consistency is a major issue for Williams. That is the last thing the Panthers need right now. That obviously was a little bit of a hiccup. I would not have taken Savion Williams for two reasons. Number one, I don't like the inconsistency. Number two, I didn't even know about the inconsistency. He was not a prospect I ever really had on my board for the Panthers. But there you have it. Two different paths the Panthers could take, all starting on Thursday night with the NFL draft.